So the horrific shooting in Uvalde has led to new calls for gun laws, but not just from political leaders. NBA coaches are getting in on this as well. Last night, Golden State Warriors basketball coach Steve Kerr refused to talk sports during the pregame and instead called out the Senate for not passing universal background checks. 6 News reporter Andrew Moore tells us what Kerr said and how that might work. Andrew?
The U.S. House of Representatives has already passed a bipartisan bill requiring universal background checks. That bill was sent to the Senate in March, but that was March of last year, and the bill just sat there ever since. The Senate read it for the first time yesterday, the same day Kerr made these remarks.
Now we have children murdered at school. When are we going to do something? There's 50 senators right now who refuse to vote on H.R. 8, which is a background check rule that the House passed.
So what is H.R. 8? Well, it's a relatively short bill that would require a background check when any two private individuals want to sell or just transfer a firearm. It would require them to use a licensed firearm dealer to act as a middleman for that background check, and no, it does not share the specifics on how that should work. It also has some exceptions built in, so family members can still pass down firearms as a gift without doing this, and people who hunt together aren't affected by the issue. The penalty for violating the law would be a fine and up to a year in prison. So would the new red tape be worth it to deter criminals and aid law enforcement? Criminal justice professor Tammy Bracewell says maybe.
Is it possible that this bill may make it to where someone who's illegally purchasing a weapon is prosecuted to where before they're not? Absolutely. Is it going to make any large-scale effect? That's debatable.
Law enforcement could now use the federal charge after a person sold a gun to a potential criminal to get that person to play ball. But Bracewell says they already have other options to do this, so it would not be game-changing.
They already have an avenue, if that makes sense, to prosecute those individuals.
And we should also point out this law would not allow the federal government to make a firearm registry of any sort, as the Supreme Court has already decided they can't. Still, it's the closest thing we have to Republicans and Democrats actually agreeing on any gun legislation in a long time. Leslie?
All right, thanks, Andrew.